The American pastor on trial in Turkey for alleged ties to terrorist groups has been sent back to prison. A judge ordered Pastor Andrew Brunson to remain behind bars and set his next hearing for mid-July. Turkish reports say, meantime, an anonymous witness claimed the pastor helped Kurdish militants and he aimed to create a Christian Kurdish state. Brunson rejected the claim, saying in a statement, in part, "These accusations are shameful and disgusting. Our doors were open to everyone. I strive to prevent politics entering the church." Our next guest went to Turkey to visit Pastor Brunson and has been fighting to bring him back. North Carolina Senator Thom Tillis joins us now. Senator, thank you very much for talking to us this morning.
Thank you.
Yesterday, the secret witness I want to talk to you about comes out and makes these preposterous claims. I mean, he claimed that he helped Kurdish militants. He aimed to create a Christian Kurdish state. These claims and this witness comes out of the 11th hour. I mean, what do you make of this witness, first of all?
Well, I saw a lot of that. I was in a Turkish courtroom for a better part of 12 hours about a month ago, and I'd visited Pastor Brunson about 3 weeks earlier in prison and spoke with him directly. The allegations are absurd. They're secret witnesses that we saw testimony in one case where the allegation that was rising to a level of putting this man in prison for 35 years, they saw a light in a room upstairs in the church for 4 hours, and there had to be something bad happening there. The odd thing about that particular circumstance by a secret witness is there's no window in this room. I've been to the church. I've heard the allegations about secret meetings. The testimony of these secret witnesses is absurd, and then even more absurd, Pastor Brunson requested 10 people to come before him as witnesses in his defense, and they've all been denied because they say that they're suspects. They haven't been charged with anything. They haven't been convicted of anything, but they say they're suspects and therefore not qualified to testify on his behalf. That's the nature of this kangaroo court that we're witnessing in Turkey.
Yeah, it's really despicable. I mean, Brunson faces serious espionage charges. He should be allowed to defend himself. I mean, he's being accused of spying and terror-related charges even, and clearly he's never going to be given a fair shot to defend himself in court. And you just mentioned, so here's what happened. They send him back to his prison cell after this secret, or you should call it a surprise witness, comes out, totally catches his team off guard. The vice chair of the U.S. Commission of International Religious Freedom said this, that the judge's decision at the conclusion of today's hearing to dismiss all of the witnesses called by Pastor Brunson's defense without listening to a single minute of their testimony is simply unconscionable. What is the game plan before his next hearing on July 18th?
Well, we're going to continue to up the pressure. Turkey is a NATO ally. We've got an Air Force base there. We have a very tight relationship with them in terms of manufacturing of the Joint Strike Fighter. We've got to rethink our relationship with Turkey if this is how they're going to treat American citizens as a NATO ally. It's unheard of among NATO allies to treat people this way. For anybody to say they have to let the judicial process play out in Turkey doesn't understand the Turkish judiciary. It's a political process that President Erdogan is allowing to play out, and I don't understand what their end game is. Our end game is to continue to increase the pressure on Turkey and free Pastor Brunson, who's been in prison now for about 578 days, and the vast majority of that was without charges. We need to bring him home, and we also need to be mindful of other Americans who've either been sentenced, we have a NASA scientist sentenced to 7.5 years, and other people who worked with our State Department who are awaiting trial. This has to stop. Otherwise, we have to rethink our relationship with Turkey.
So clearly something needs to happen before there's a sentencing. Once the sentencing happens, it's too late. You went to go visit Pastor Brunson. How's he doing? And what are you doing currently to bring him back? How is that going?
Well, I think he's doing extraordinarily well under the circumstances, but he's been in impossible conditions. For about 15 months, he was in a prison cell that had 21 people in it, designed for 8. He's been moved to a different prison that, relatively speaking, is better. What we're going to do, we tried to show respect to the Turkish government. I tried to show respect by meeting with the ambassador and the foreign minister. But now what we have to do is show that we're prepared to act in terms of sanctions, in terms of changing the nature of our relationship with Turkey. And we have to look at all of our ties with Turkey and question whether or not that's the best partner to partner with on certain things around national defense and economic ties.
We just want to thank you for, the work that you're doing, first of all. I mean, to have an ally like you, to be trapped in a prison in a country such as Turkey or North Korea as an American and have nobody out here defending you is probably the scariest thing you could possibly face. Is the White House getting involved at all?
They are. To the president's credit, he's made a specific call to President Erdogan, spoke about it. Secretary Pompeo had a discussion within probably a day of him coming on board after his confirmation. We're working hand in glove on this issue. Now, that's not to say that some of the things we're proposing will have universal support, because these are very important issues around the Joint Strike Fighter, around sanctions, around our presence at Incirlik. But they're all things that have to be examined through the lens of Turkey's behavior over the past couple of years since the coup.
All right, Senator Thom Tillis, great to have you in this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
And good luck to you.